I am Juan, and joining me today is a Bethesda employee whose entire job is to make sure I do not play the remake of Oblivion. My wonderful co-host, Hunter Crate. How are you doing today?
You're never going to touch that game in your entire life. If they come out with the remaster, like I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to remove the hard drive from your Xbox if that's what it comes down to.
It's literally, I'm at that point where it's just like, did I, wrong them in some way? Is there something I did? Is it me? It usually is me, but, really? What the fuck, dude?
Well, don't worry, the next Elder Scrolls game is coming out soon. Soon for the last 6 years.
Yeah, whatever. I'll probably get it by the time I finally have no hair on the top of my head, so at least I'll have that to look forward to.
New Elder Scrolls, new me.
So, since I brought that up, I wanted to actually talk about that real quick, that they did not announce it like everybody fucking thought they were going to, I think on Friday. Mm-hmm. But in lighter news, I started playing Elder Scrolls 1 and 2 from the 90s, and I'd like to tell you about my experience with that.
Okay.
It's been very bad, and it's not going... I've quit the first one, and I'm going to uninstall it. The second one is really fucking good, though, dude. You can change your key bindings. The graphics look really cool and retro. I love it. The first one's impossible, though, and it made me really mad, and dude, it was fucking booty cheeks.
Too hard? Too clunky?
No, not clunky at all. It actually plays really good. It's just really fucking hard, because I don't know what I'm doing. There's guides, but a lot of the guides are just, elitists, talking about how dumb you are for not knowing how to do any of this stuff, so I've just, been ignoring it. Or they bring up stuff about the game that is super high level, and it's I'm just starting. But I was trying to figure it out, and I was trying to just hammer through the story as quick as possible, but it's literally impossible if you do not take the time to level up. So that was really frustrating. But the most frustrating thing, dude, is, and I think I've told you this a little bit, my fucking water pipes froze.
I love Michigan.
Well, you know my feelings about that. I am not a big fan anymore. I've had enough. I want to go somewhere where it's warm all the time. I'd rather spend the time I spend in the winter in my house. I'd rather spend that somewhere hot as hell, because at least at night you can go out. I'd rather do stuff like that than fucking be here. But for those who don't know, it's been in the negatives, all last week. Now it's nice as fuck. But it was in the negatives all last week. And I live really close to a very, very, very large pond. And obviously deforestation, so there's not a lot of trees. There is past my house where the wind doesn't blow, because in Michigan it typically goes southwest, up to the northeast. The fucking wind had just been whipping my house for days and days and days, and then I get home from work one day, and I was already kind of stressed the fuck out about the water. I immediately walk into the bathroom, and my faucet's not dripping, and I'm like, here we fucking go. So when it was negative fucking 15, dude, I was under my goddamn house for hours trying to get it unthawed. And we never did. We had to fucking call a plumber.
That's absolutely brutal. We had that same issue last year here, and it sucks pretty bad.
I've had, well, I don't know about the neighborhood you grew up in, but I've had power outages, and even some that have lasted a few days. Typically in Michigan, I don't feel like we get a whole lot of them, unless you live in the older neighborhoods. But living without power, I can do. Living without heat, it's not great, but you can make it work for, at least a day. Living without water, when you come home from work after a long day and you can't even wash your fucking hands. Dude,
Yeah.
I was like, ruined my fucking day, dude. It's not even a joke.
Yeah, you can't take a shower after a long day either, or whatever. It's not good.
I was a grumpy gills, brother. I was not having a good day, and then, like, I plugged in our glow plug along our pipes, and it started up immediately, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. I'll have water in a few hours. And then it immediately shorts out and almost electrocutes me and almost sets the fucking area on fire. I'm like, I hate my fucking life. It was so fucking ass, bro. It was a bad few days.
Yeah, we were dripping the pipes all last week, and I'm very grateful that they did not freeze here, because it has happened before. This house is like a Michigan basement, so it's like just kind of dirt downstairs in most of the basement or whatever, and it's just like where some of the appliances are, like the hot water heater and stuff. But there's a lot of like exposed pipes down there that are just barely insulated, and it gets real cold down there. So it was sketchy last week. It was like negative 25 multiple times.
I don't understand how people went from not having water to having water in their homes. Like, did it just freeze all the fucking time and we never heard about that? Like, what is that?
You know, I probably did.
Oh god, dude, it was so ass. And then, like, luckily, like, my boss, I have, like, a really good relationship with. So, I told him the next day, I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to cut out of here early. I'm not sure when. I got a plumber coming. My pipes froze. And he just, like, looked at me. He was like, your pipes froze? Like, what is this, like, 1900? And I'm like, I mean, you know, not everybody's rich as fuck and has, like, all of this stuff, you know? Like, not everybody has, like you said, like, a big fucking basement where everything stays warm. You know, right. Like, I got a crawl space. So, he didn't give me a hard time about it. He was just, like, flabbergasted that it froze. Like, it wasn't 15 degrees for a fucking, like, 4 days straight. Well, negative 15. But yeah, dude, I left, like, basically, I was only at work for a few hours, so it's like I lost almost a full day's pay, on top of having to pay this ass munch to come over here and just put a fucking heater under my house. Luckily, I know how to do it now, so I'm never gonna have to pay for it again. Thank God.
Yeah, that is one nice thing if you pay attention.
Yeah, I was watching intently. I was playing Skyrim and hating life and watching everything he was doing when he did something.
Like, now I know for next time.
Hopefully there is never a next time.
Yeah, hopefully you're not getting me with another service call, bro.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, yeah, we're going to have to redo that whole pipe, and I'm looking at the thick-ass insulation that goes all the way down, and I'm like, nah, I'm straight on that, my guy. Like, I'm not going to fucking do it. You cannot fool me.
Yeah.
But what have you been up to?
I had my little sister and her boyfriend came out to the house this weekend, so we were playing some Mario Party, which is always a good time, and doing some arts and crafts, getting ready for the craft show, because my little sister's has some room on our table with us for some of her painting. She's a great painter. So, doing a lot of arts and crafts, playing some Mario Party, and some of my downtime, I've just started playing Total War Warhammer 3 again, which is a similar experience, I imagine, to how you felt with the first Elder Scrolls game, where I typically am pretty good at most strategy games. I've been playing them almost my whole life or whatever, but when it comes to like the Total War games, I feel like my brain does not work. Like, I feel like my brain is in jello when I'm playing these games sometimes, so it's been fun. I haven't played a one-player game much lately. I've been playing a lot of Deadlock, as I've talked about a lot, and probably will more today. But so I've been playing
good.
Yeah, some of the Total War campaigns, and it's been fun, and it's nice to be able to kind of pause your game and go do something whenever you want, which is one of the underrated parts of solo player games.
Well, I feel like it's a part of solo player games that I just don't know why that seems like that's even going away. Like, there are a decent amount of, like, single-player games that you just cannot pause now. It just brings up a menu.
Yeah. I know Elden Ring is one like that.
Yeah, he does that to make it harder on purpose, though.
Yeah. So you can't
But I don't know, I just feel like I've played some games recently that were like that. Obviously not the Elder Scrolls games or anything, but I can't think of one off the top of my head because I've been playing so much fucking Bethesda games. But you know what I mean. I'm sure you've played a few games in the past that are single-player games that you just cannot pause.
Yeah, I'm not a fan for sure, because one of the biggest appeals to me of single-player games is that you can do everything exactly on your own pace.
Exactly.
Like, it sucks when you're playing, like, you're locked in a really close multiplayer game or whatever, and if it's any type of game that's like 30 to 50 minutes and you're just like halfway through and you have to go to the bathroom, it's like, man, do I let my team down or do I let my bladder down? Like, what is the right decision here? And both of them come with some serious consequences, you know?
Yeah, I had a good little stint where I was playing a decent amount of like multiplayer games. Like I was playing Marvel Rivals, which my opinion has not changed. I still think it's booty. I was playing Call of Duty a lot with Julian. Like we were playing a decent amount of games, and then just like the last week, I've just been so fucking exhausted. Like we were supposed to record yesterday, and I just was like, I'm not gonna tell him no, but I'm really hoping he does not text me.
Yeah,
I'm so fucking exhausted.
Similar to the pipe trouble, was having some car trouble that I won't get too much into, but I was not feeling it. I was not going to be pleasant
I get it.
On the podcast, so I figured, take an extra day. We'll record on a Monday. Hell yeah.
So, do you have anything on our docket today that you really wanted to cover?
One other thing I did recently is I finally got to play Smite 2. I played a couple games of that with my friend, and it is pretty much like Smite 1, but with different graphics.
When did that one come out?
It's the beta is out right now. It's free to play on Steam. I had a good time playing, but I didn't really feel that different from the first Smite. And I know it's mostly just kind of like a remaster for graphics, and like some of the characters are a little bit different in the game, but it did not feel like a new game, for sure. It kind of was like the Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 feel a little bit, where it's just like, they just kind of re-released the same game with different graphics a little bit. Different engine. Oh yeah, you're good. I don't have a ton to say about it, but like I liked Smite 1. It's pretty similar to Smite 1, so it's like it's good in that regard, but it's definitely lacking in a lot of innovation. It feels like there's definitely a couple new things and new features, and some of the characters have some new passives, and there's like slightly different map and stuff like that. But overall, definitely feels very much the same, like kind of how we talked about last week, where sometimes you have a winning formula and you just kind of stick with it. But
I don't particularly hate that as long as there is at least something that's different. I mean, I'm sure the graphics are better, right? Hopefully.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a lot better for sure. It's on Unreal Engine 5 instead of whatever it was on 15 years ago. Yeah.
3, 2, who knows?
Yeah. So it's definitely looks better, and I'm probably being a little bit gentle with it in regards to the fact that it was free to play. Like if I paid $60 or $70 to play the game and it was the same as the first one, I'd probably be a little bit more annoyed.
Yeah, I get that. But I think a lot of these games that never really lost their steam, that's probably what we'll end up seeing is just more of like re-releases of the game with like just better graphics and different, like it probably even still just transcends like what it already was. You could probably still play with other people except for maybe locked out maps or something like that. I could see that being like what happens going forward, like how a lot of the new consoles are just the old consoles but with better hardware. That's probably the direction we're going in at this point, which I'm not particularly mad at as long as the game is still good and there's definitely something new added. I'm not super pressed about it.
Yeah, that's fair. As long as it's good.
That's my big thing. Yep. Like, is the replay value there? Like we talked about when we were, when I was shitting the hell out of Marvel Rivals and when I was shitting on Starfield, it's like, is the replay value there? If it's not there, then that's what makes it a bad game for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad things, I watched Sonic 3 last night.
Don't.
I'm kidding.
I was about to end the podcast. This is going to be the shortest episode of all time. I was just going to click out of the Discord call and the recording.
Yeah, you just hear like that Discord noise, bloop bloop, and I'm like, fuck. Hello?
Oh.
Yeah, I watched that last night. We've been talking about it for a long time. I've been so fucking busy. Honestly, I've been watching a lot of stuff that me and you've been talking about. So I finally seen that it came out on VOD, and I was like, I gotta watch that. And I watched it last night, and I liked it. I really did. I think I liked the second one more, but I don't dislike, honestly, anything about it. I'm also a huge Keanu Reeves fan, so that's a super big win for me.
Yeah, he was a great Shadow the Hedgehog, for sure.
His backstory's so fucking sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. And they definitely... This one was the most adult of any of them, for sure. Like, not... Of course, so. Shadow the Hedgehog's in it, so it's gotta have guns and motorcycles. But,
it's America,
some of the themes, I feel like, were a lot bigger in this one. And, like, I feel like the overall theme of the movie was kind of sacrifice. You know? And I feel like it was a little bit more involved of a plot than the other ones, which I did like.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, a huge fan of Sonic Adventure 2. So, it doesn't follow the plot exactly, but it's pretty similar in regards to, like, the movie, the cinematic universe of it. You know, it's not as in-depth as the game, but the game had a lot of levels, a lot of time to build up or whatever, whereas the movie was only, like, slightly over 2 hours, or just under 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, it was actually shorter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought it ruled. I watched it a second time this weekend with my sister and her boyfriend because they hadn't seen it yet. And it was as good the second time.
I probably will have to watch it again because, I mean, I was folding laundry in the beginning, like, while they were, like, setting up the plot. And then, like, I put everything away when it was time to, like, actually really start getting into the story. I really fucking liked it. I liked Eggman and Grandpa Eggman. That was fucking hilarious. I liked when he was like, it's almost like we're two actors playing the same character in a movie. I mean, we're one actor playing the two characters in the movie. And when they looked at the camera, I fucking died for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
because it was like such really it was funny. Like almost a fourth wall break because it was so light. It was just so fucking funny.
Yeah, it was. I think that the worst part of the movie from the Sonic lens, like if looking at it as a Sonic movie, is that Jim Carrey just kind of steals the whole show. You know, like I think it was as much of a Sonic movie as it was a Jim Carrey movie, you know, but that's kind of more speaking to that he knows what his craft is, and he's pretty good at it. He somehow managed to make the dance scene fit in well and be funny too.
Yeah, that was cool too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I liked the ending quite a bit. You got the frickin' Dragon Ball Z style fight scene between Shadow and Sonic, which was awesome. You had like the big heartfelt bro moment, and then you even had them frickin' dap it up on the moon. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was crazy. Honestly, the only thing I think I really disliked about the movie was that they were talking to each other on the moon. I'm like, that just does not happen like that. Like, come on, what are they doing?
Well, you know, there's also not alien hedgehogs that we know of.
Well, I believe that before I believe them hearing sound on the moon. And when it was powering up and they were on the moon, fucking 100,000 kilometers away from Earth, and then they heard it powering up, I was like, come on.
Well, you know,
but everything, I mean, I really did. I liked the whole fucking thing, dude. I really did like it. I also, like I said, I mean, I like the Sonic character, like the voice actor. I like him in almost everything I see him in. I love Jim Carrey. Like I said, I'm a Keanu Reeves whore, so it's like if anything he's in, even if it's a terrible movie, I'm giving it a better score because I just really like him.
Yeah.
I think the plot was fucking solid. And
yeah.
I like that how he wasn't really a bad guy either. Like, Shadow wasn't a bad guy. You understand why he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah, especially when you see the conflict between, like, Sonic and Shadows. A lot of, like, starts from them coming from the gun helicopter and, like, you know, the association that they have with that organization or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's... I thought it was cool. I like the big fight scene and where he's shit-talking, like, what kind of hero abandons his friends for revenge? And it's like, oh, damn, he's kind of coming for your throat.
He's cooking. He's cooking. Let him cook.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I was not disappointed.
Is he cooking?
I had very high hopes for the movie, and I was not disappointed, so...
No, I liked it, too.
And it sounds like the fourth one is actually already scheduled for 2027, I believe.
I didn't see anything about that, but that wouldn't surprise me because these fucking movies are just gangbusters. And I also think it helps that all three of them have been actually pretty solid movies.
Yeah, I thought they were all pretty good. You know, I think I think this one's my favorite, but I'm biased because Shadow the Hedgehog's my favorite character, and Gerald Robotnik is also one of my favorites from the games. So I am biased, but I think they all delivered pretty well. I'm very happy that all this is possible because so many people on the internet bullied the crap out of their original Sonic design.
Yeah, I think sometimes you should not listen to your fans, but this is like one of the times where it works to the fucking... Like, it worked in such a great way that, I mean, it's an entire trilogy of bangers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a very real chance that if it wasn't for the remake, it would not have done as well. Like, if they didn't remake the design, and now it's like a super successful cinematic universe, and they're already made so much money, they're planning on a fourth one coming out. They're adding more characters. There's like
I seen Amy, that was cool.
And like all these big name actors like want to be in it also, which is cool. Yeah, we didn't even touch on
we haven't seen Jack Black yet.
I hope he plays the what is his name? Jack Black would be a very funny Vector the crocodile.
Oh yeah. Or fucking even Big, what is it, Big the Cat?
Oh, yeah, he would be good for that, for sure. That would be really funny.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah, I do think that, we have to talk about the end of the credits, or the after credit scenes before we move on, too, with you mentioned Amy, was in the end credit scenes, and Metal Sonic. And then also the end credit scene showing that Shadow was not dead.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Which, I mean, it kind of makes sense because he can teleport.
Yeah, I mean, it's also cool because that means that Keanu Reeves may be returning.
Awesome.
Which would be great. And, setting up for some more great ones. It'll be interesting to see who they decide to add in the next one. Because obviously, like, they're going to keep adding people. So.
Oh, I also forgot to bring up. I'm also a big fan of Idris Elba, and it's so fucking cool just to see him just let loose and be, like, super unserious in his role as Knuckles. It's really refreshing, and I feel like it adds to, like, why he's such a great actor to me. Like, he could literally be a silly kid character, and he's still, like, probably my favorite character in the movies.
He's awesome, and I think they did a good job kind of making each of the characters shine in some way, despite the movie being very focused kind of around Sonic and Shadow.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the scene where Knuckles is skydiving after them and saves them was awesome. I feel like the standoff with Knuckles and Sonic in front of the gun headquarters after they launched the Eclipse cannon was, like, super cool. Mm-hmm. And I am a huge fan of him playing that role, to be honest, and I think that he really made it his own. It's very recognizable.
Yeah, I'm honestly a big fan of it. I like I said, I really like the movies. I'm also, well, we went really in depth, so I'm not going to go super in depth on this point about this whole thing. I don't feel like things need to always be significantly true to the source material, especially when you're making a kids movie. It really kind of can be flexible.
Definitely.
But if you're gonna make a franchise that I like that everybody wants to be there and they're having a good time, because that's gonna make the characters better. It's gonna be more believable in a fictional universe, that the story inside of that universe is going on when everybody is thoroughly enjoying. I know Jack Black didn't enjoy being in the movies, but he's still fucking Jack Black. Not Jack Black. Jim Carrey didn't enjoy being in the movies, but he's still himself. But like everybody else, you could tell everybody's just having a great time making unlimited amounts of money and playing the character they're playing. And I really like that. I think it's very authentic to even the franchise itself.
Yeah, I think Jim Carrey did like being in those movies, though, because like they gave him a lot of creative freedom, and like it's a big thing for Jim Carrey. He doesn't return for sequels, so it's kind of unheard of that he returned for the second and third movie. And I know he's touched on that he's done it because I believe his grandkids really like it. Because it's like one of their favorite series or whatever. But they gave him so much, like, he wrote a lot of the parts that you could tell the parts he wrote in the movie, to be honest. But in a good way. Like, I think that whole dance scene was 100% his thing. I think, like, the scene of him and his grandfather, like, going through all the motions with the like, where they have the Christmas and the first bicycle ride and everything.
That shit was so fucking funny.
That was really
I loved
funny.
It.
That one felt like a patented Jim Carrey kind of moment to me too, in a good way. Like, I like it.
Yeah.
But
right.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a fun movie to be a part of for sure too. Especially, there's a lot of people that are so excited for these movies and have been waiting a long time for something of this caliber for Sonic. So I think that's awesome.
I think just in general, because a lot of people I think that like a Sonic movie, like a Mario movie, would have liked a Borderlands movie. Like a lot of these, I mean, they just want something done good. Like I said, it doesn't always need to be true to the... Well, if it's a TV show, it probably should be. But movies don't always need to be true to the source material. I mean, Lord of the Rings, both of the Lord of the Rings series, aren't honestly that true to the thing. But it's like the actors love doing it. They wanted to be there. Everybody had a good time. The stories are, compelling enough. The motives are good enough. Like, people like something that feels authentic. And I feel like that's what these movies are. It's like, you can put on a Sonic movie and you're not going to be like, well, other than me with the moon, you're not going to be like, well, that's fucking stupid. Like, you're, like, laughing at the dumb little jokes for the kids. You're laughing harder at the definite, like, adult jokes that they kind of toss in there. Like, it's very what made SpongeBob so perfect, is what makes these Sonic movies specifically so good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I watched those because, watched it. I also kind of told you that I was super excited to watch it, but I honestly had a great time. I really like it. I like all the characters. Like you said, I think the casting is what's been making the movies so enjoyable because I feel like they got the right people for the way that they wrote the characters. Instead of writing the characters and then just trying to get the biggest names they can, I feel like they got good people to do what they were writing the characters for. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And also, the thing you said, I think is like the biggest takeaway is the movies are just a good time. Like, it's fun to watch them unfold in front of you. And, that's something that a lot of movies need to kind of go back to, I feel like. That was one of the things I really liked about, like, the Godzilla versus Kong movies, is it's a fun time to kind of just, like, sometimes you want a movie that really makes you think and feel a lot of things or whatever, and sometimes you just want to have a good time and kind of watch a movie.
Right. Which I've been watching a lot of the Quentin Tarantino movies, so it's nice to just have a fun, relaxing little movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Which, decent enough segue, I guess. I watched From Dusk Till Dawn because you brought it up. I have some notes. Most of them are foot related. A few of them make me feel a little confused. Because do I wish I was Quentin Tarantino in that scene? I might. I'm not sure. I like the movie. That's another movie that it was actually kind of just fun after a certain point. The beginning was a little rough. It was good, but knowing that Quentin Tarantino's like who he was in that movie, wasn't really a big fan of that. But after they met the family and then where they were going from there, it turned so campy. It was crazy. It was like a really cool heist movie, and then it turned so campy. I fucking loved it, dude. The vampires were so cool. Cheech playing 8 different roles in that movie was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different little things in that movie, like the super soakers full of holy water is like so funny to me. Like, that is just so awesome. And I feel like they do that camp thing so well, where they take kind of like the normal myth of vampires, like in holy water or whatever, and it's just like, well, why don't you just put in a squirt gun or a super soaker? And it's so fun. Like, it's so funny. And then like the guy that has the belt buckle gun, is also super
the big
cool.
dick?
Yeah. Like
I loved it.
There's just so many scenes in that movie that are so both memorable and funny, and it's like every time they come on, it makes me laugh no matter how many times I've seen the movie.
I loved, like, you could tell that Quentin Tarantino wrote it. Like, his writing style is so specific. Like, when Cheech was out front of the strip club and he had, like, a 10-minute monologue about pussy.
Yep.
I was like, oh, and we've made it to the fun part of the movie. I know where this is going. I know the direction that we're turning now. Oh my god, it's just so good, dude. Some people are just, even if it's something so ridiculous as, like, that, like, some people are just so talented, sometimes it makes me jealous. Like, that was so fucking great, dude. I loved it. Honestly, I enjoyed every single second of that movie, and I feel like that is very rare, especially from a movie from him, where a lot of the boring build-up is a good part of the movie. It was crazy to enjoy every single second of that movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic. Like I said in the last one, my dad and I watched that movie a lot when I was younger, and that was probably, honestly,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah. In hindsight, that is something, but great movie.
Well, my dad was the same way. I think it's that generation.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I think I watched this movie for the first time in elementary school.
Yeah. Well, also, from what our dads turned into, I'm pretty sure we have the same parents.
Yeah.
Very, very similar men. For better or for worse.
True.
But I think that honestly, I might, next time he comes over, I might put that on, because I genuinely think that would actually be something that he would enjoy. It was a really good one. But I did want to talk to you about the Quentin Tarantino movies, because now next up was Death Proof, and I think you said you liked that one? Or you only seen it once? I can't remember what you were saying.
Let me pull it up.
Which is the one with, what's his name? Russell Crowe? No. Is it Russell Crowe?
I think I've seen this one time, like a long time ago.
Okay. I think a lot of people said it's like his lowest rated movie, but I think as the years have gone on, people have liked it more. I'm pretty excited. The only reason that I held off on it is, like I said, I watched From Dusk Till Dawn. I finished Severance, and then I've been actually grinding out Star Wars: The Clone Wars, so I'm about ready to start Episode 3. Which this last season of The Clone Wars is that Disney Plus original that came out a few years ago, like during COVID. I've never seen it before. I've been really fucking enjoying it. I honestly like any episodes of Star Wars that focus really heavily on the clones, and that's what a lot of this season is.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't see that exclusive either, but I did watch all of the Clone Wars that was on, Cartoon Network?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched I think 7 seasons of it. 6 or 7 seasons.
6 seasons, and then 7 is that Disney Plus exclusive.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, it's very Ahsoka heavy and very clone heavy, so it's like that is best of the both worlds for me.
Yeah, I like Ahsoka a lot. She's a very cool
character. I also
character.
really like Asajj Ventress, and I'm pretty sure she comes up soon, and I also like her for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I have some strong feelings about that character.
I hope they make a live version of her soon. Oh, God. I'm begging you, please. Yeah, I'm definitely one of her biggest fans. Like, the 6th season was like the season where Ahsoka gets, like, the Jedi Order kind of turns against her because they're super flawed, and I understand why Palpatine did what he did. That was Ventress heavy, and that was like kind of our last little look at her, and I was just like, God, I remember how much I love this fucking character, dude.
Yeah,
especially her turning into a bounty hunter makes a lot of sense for her. So I thought that was fucking sweet too.
Yeah, it definitely fits the role.
But, so the reason why I'm bringing this up specifically, because I know we've talked on it a lot, it's my version of Deadlock. After episode 3, I have 2 more episodes of the Clone Wars. That the last 2 episodes of the last season, the Disney Plus exclusive, is during Order 66. So, I think Rex and Ahsoka, from what I've gathered so far, because I think Rex is in the Bad Batch, Rex and Ahsoka are kind of in the middle of Order 66 because they don't really show her in the movies. I mean, in episode 3. So they're doing their thing, and I think that's kind of where they branch off, and then she goes her own way, and then he goes with the Bad Batch. But what I'm really excited about is, like, one of their highest rated shows is the Bad Batch, and right after episode 3, that's when you watch that in the timeline. So I'm going to definitely keep you up to date. I'll probably keep you on a season date with that, but I'm pretty excited for that. I finally met them. This season also introduced those characters, and I really like what they did. So they're basically clones, but they all look different because they're defective. And they all have very ununiform personalities because they're defective. And I'm pretty excited to see how that takes them, you know, because they're like elite commandos. So it's going to be really cool to see like some of the most dangerous fighters that aren't Mandalorians, who are also mentally defective, interact with a universe that's falling apart around them. I feel like it's going to be fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I think it will be. I need to watch that last season of Clone Wars next time I have Disney Plus. I don't have it currently, but next time I have a reason to get it. Yeah, okay. I might take you up on that.
Yeah, I'll send you my stuff when we're done, because Jess uses it sometimes, but honestly, I'm only using it for Star Wars, so if, you know, if somebody else could get some value out of it, I'm definitely down to... Because then we'll have more to talk about, too. I mean, honestly, if you watch it, and then you watch anything else, we can maybe do like a prequel up to When the Republic Falls, kind of like overview. Since we were talking about wanting to do some lore stuff, we could probably do that together.
Yeah, that would be definitely a cool episode. That'd probably be a long one, but I would be definitely
Yeah, well,
down.
We can make that a bonus, because I know we're getting ready to start publishing, so why don't some of the stuff, because like especially when we start doing Q&As and stuff, why don't we make a lot of that lore stuff just like bonuses, like when we have time, maybe even we record some and then come back record another, and then we can always just splice it all together.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
I mean, you're very well versed like myself, and we've seen a bunch of these movies together, but I'm definitely the only one I know right now deep diving into these Disney shows, because so many people are staying away from them because, you know, the small minority is the loudest in the room, so a lot of people don't want to waste their time on something they might not like, even though everything I've watched has been very good. I think you should watch Acolyte, too, if you find any time, but I know how you are with shows. It's a little bit harder for you.
I'm pretty bad at it, watching shows sometimes, but I definitely would like to catch up on a bunch of the Star Wars stuff that I'm behind on, but Disney definitely, for better or worse, has been churning out a lot of Star Wars stuff.
I have not seen anything new that I have even remotely disliked yet. And you know how picky I am about stuff.
Yeah, no, I believe it's good, for sure. It's kind of feels a little bit like Marvel to me, where it just like hit a point where I'm just like, God, I don't want to watch 5 TV shows to like understand the next movie.
Well, thankfully, I'm pretty sure they said that they're avoiding that. All of the movies will be kind of like self-contained. Like they'll draw on lore from other movies, but I think a lot of the TV show stuff, other than that Mandalorian movie, I think that's kind of staying away from the shows. I think they learned their lesson from Marvel.
Yeah, I hope so.
I also think the guy who's doing a lot of the best Star Wars stuff is that Dave Filoni guy, which made the Clone Wars TV show for Cartoon Network. I think he's one of those, like, he knows what to do and what not to do. Like, he's faithful to lore, but I also think that he doesn't like to have a big barrier of entry, I think is his big thing. Because you could watch The Mandalorian without watching any Star Wars, and you'll probably recognize stuff from TV, you know, from, like, Meijer. Or a Walmart. If you guys don't know, Meijer is the Walmart of the North. Like a Meijer or Walmart, you'd see toys, and then you could watch this just cool Western show, and then be like, oh, I've seen that before. Like, there's like no barrier of entry to The Mandalorian. So I think that that's kind of the route that they're kind of taking right now. Which I think this is one of those things, because it's kind of meant for kids. I think it's always good to make stuff with a low barrier entry, because then everybody can like it.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, I mean, there's definitely good to, like, put in bits and pieces for the people who know, but I also like not making that the main focus. Unless it is, like, a specific, like Ahsoka, I'm sure her whole TV show is going to be very specific. But that's probably why it's its own thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, to even know who she is, you kind of need a decent amount of interest in the universe, because she's not, like, necessarily... More so now she is, but before she wasn't really a super surface level character. You kind of had to engage with the stuff outside of the movies.
Yeah.
which is a little bit deeper into the universe.
Well, I haven't watched that yet because I'm doing it timeline-wise, but I think a lot of the show, the show might be very self-contained, but I think it's very Anakin-heavy. So it's like a lot of people who have seen the movies can maybe relate to it on that level of like, oh, there's Anakin in this, so I'll probably be able to enjoy it. But if it's taking the route of all the other shows I've been watching, you kind of can watch any of it without feeling super left out. And I really like that because I like the lore building without it making other people feel like they cannot watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's a important kind of dial to hit where you have enough of the in-depth stuff that people who are invested kind of get a nod, but not so much where people who are watching it are like, I just feel overwhelmed and like that it would take too much to get to the point where they could really enjoy it.
Yeah, I like that with anything, honestly, though. That's why I'm not particularly mad like when I play like an Elder Scrolls or a Halo, and they kind of bring up like in little off dialogue sequences of stuff that happened before. It's like, you know what? I don't mind a refresher. And then it's good for the other people who aren't super invested like I am. Like, a lot of people just want to, they're like me and you, dude. They're exhausted, they're tired, they work their ass off, they're stressed out. A lot of people just want to sit down and enjoy something. And they don't want it to just be a whole fucking thing. When it comes to the stuff I like, I don't mind it. But I tend to be on the stuff I like, I tend to be up to date. So it's like, I also can get enjoyment out of it. But for the people who aren't like me, I want them to also enjoy it. I'm not a gatekeeper, though. Like, I genuinely do not find joy in wanting other people to feel excluded from stuff like a lot of people are on, like, social media about fandoms. Star Wars has always been notorious for being very toxic like that, but I've never understood that because, like, if I'm at the gym and there's this little nerd kid wearing, like, a Star Wars shirt, like, I want to be able to, like, talk to him about that. Like, you know what I mean? And him not feel like I'm, like, an elitist because I was there when Episode 3 came out. Like, that's just not the way I rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm definitely a pretty inclusive person when it comes to any type of like lore or hobbies or whatever. Warhammer's a really bad one, the tabletop for the gatekeeping, and a lot of people.
That seems to be very accurate from what I've noticed.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things that have a high bar of investment, whether that's monetary or like time-wise, I feel like people can get real gatekeepy because they feel like they like earned it or something weird or whatever. But for me, I love sharing the things I like with other people. I love sharing movies and cinema and stories, and like I think it's cool. I think it's exciting when you get somebody else that kind of like reminds you maybe how you felt when you first got into something. Like I remember how I felt when I first went to like the Games Workshop to play like tabletop Warhammer for the first time at the Great Lakes Crossing when I was in like elementary school, and it's like every time I showed somebody else how to play the game or how to paint a miniature or whatever, and like I saw that kind of like magic come alive again for somebody else, like I feel like that's the best feeling. And like trying to neglect that or like not have other people have those moments seems kind of weird.
No, I get that for sure.
Like I want, and any type of in-depth lore or hobby or whatever it may be, book series, movie series, whatever, if new people don't come in and like it, it's going to go away. That's just how it works, like
I agree with you.
Any community needs some amount of growth to remain profitable, and that's like the number one thing that drives most of this type of hobby creation at this point or whatever, or these creations that people have as their hobby, whether that's like reading the lore or whatever, playing a game.
I'm definitely in that same boat with you. And honestly, when like I invest a lot of the time into something that I enjoy, it's also just kind of satisfying to just talk to somebody else about it. So it's like that's my main reason why I'm not super into being gatekeepy. Because it's like I've invested all this time. Oh, maybe a lot of the people aren't into a lot of the stuff that I'm into. Like me and Jess have quite a bit in common, but Star Wars is definitely one of those things that she just enjoys when it's on. But she's not like I am, so it's like we can talk about it, but like, like she's just there to enjoy the movie. Like if I could find somebody who, even if they're fresh to it, I could like splurge, and then they're totally invested in hearing what I have to say about it. Like that's enjoyable, like that's awesome. And then, like you said, it just sparks that interest in them, and that's always nice because then the next time you fucking see them, you'll have that much more to talk about. that's just fun to me. It's one of the best parts about being into a fandom is having the other fans to interact with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you always get a little bit of somebody else when they kind of get into something where like maybe they pick up on something that you didn't pick up on because of their own real world experiences or whatever their career is, maybe like somebody looks at something that you've seen a million times through a slightly different lens and then can make you think about it differently. And I feel like that's a really engaging and interesting phenomenon to happen, especially when it's something you're so close to. Like we've been so into Star Wars most of our life or whatever, and then having somebody who maybe just gets into it and sees it and they think about something differently than we have this whole time, I feel like that's awesome. The fact that some of this lore and this media is so deep that it can different things stand out to different people in it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it is definitely interesting to see other people's viewpoints, especially like there are people out there who genuinely think the Borg are the good people. Like in Star Trek and shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I don't know what lens you looked at that shit through, but you are fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's one of the fun ones for me in Warhammer, is that kind of the whole idea of like a grimdark setting is that kind of everybody's the bad guys. So it's always fun to see who people think are the good guys. I feel like it's interesting and kind of fun in that way. Like Star Trek, I feel like it's a little bit more defined as to who is good and bad, whereas in like, and it's a little bit harder to decipher in the Warhammer universe.
Well, I also don't think that there's anything wrong with when everybody's the bad guy picking which ones you think is the best. Like, that's awesome. Like, I love having conversations about that sort of thing. Like, like in Star Wars, a lot of people, like, they might very much, like in reality, dislike the Empire because the Empire is America, for all those people who don't know that. Like, a lot of people might dislike the Empire, but then since everybody's bad, sort of, in that universe, even like a lot of the rebels are willing to do some pretty shitty stuff to get stuff done. Which, I mean, it's a rebellion, that's kind of what you gotta do, but we'll ignore that. Like, I understand why people see, like, hey, okay, we have two good guys and two bad guys. I kind of really like the cool look of this bad guy who's redeemed, but he's also still a bad guy. Like, it's perfectly fine with me when there's no good guys to be picking and choosing which bad guys you like the most. Because, I mean, they've already defined that there is not really any good guys, so you might as well go fucking crazy with it.
Yeah, then it's kind of just about what you're willing to compromise for the greater good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in Halo, I think is definitely a way better idea because, I mean, most of the rebels are fighting for, like, actual freedom in Star Wars, so it's like that's a harder one to use. But, like, Halo is, like, a great idea because the Covenant is absolutely horrible. They're, like, religious, like, dictatorship. They're horrible. Like, they're really bad. But the Earth government, like, the main people, like, they nuke their own planet when they don't want to, like, be controlled by Earth because they're a 9-month jump away. Like, so a lot of these aliens come in because they've been brainwashed into killing anybody who doesn't believe in their religion. And then we're just, like, supposed to assume they're the bad guys, when in reality, most of the humans are the worst people. Like, only the Spartans are the non-bad people in, like, the whole human storyline.
Yeah.
Like, almost everybody else is, like, the worst, horrible people in the world. Like, they go really in-depth into the person who runs Oni, which, for people who played Halo Reach, it's all of those people. The people who run Oni, straight up, like, they stole children from their parents getting off of the buses and then turned them into military assets. Like, they're the bad guys. And the other ones are just brainwashed. I love that. I love picking and choosing what you like the most. But I'm also a big Covenant fan. So, I mean, I'm always on the other side of the spectrum with that.
Yeah, I think it's... And then, there's do the ends justify the means is, the question in a lot of those situations. And I always think that it's fun when there can be kind of some ethics questions involved in the lore. And it's like, people are willing to look past a lot of the bad things when the main characters are humans, compared to if they're not humans as well.
That's true.
Which I think is kind of a funny bug in most people's ethics, is there's kind of like there's some aesthetics to it, like, it's
like the most human aspect of science fiction when we meet other races. Like, you see a lot of that in Star Trek too, like Section 31 does some atrocious things. But it's like, oh, but what, they weren't aliens with ridges on their heads who look exactly like humans, except they have ridges on their heads, so obviously we did the right thing. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's just so crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of Halo 4 is they really bring the ethics in, like the whole Halsey side storyline where they kind of like do the little flashbacks in between when Master Chief is doing stuff. They were like, you stole kids. And she was like, my kid saved the universe. And they were like, you stole the kids before the Covenant even appeared, bitch. Like, it's like, you're not going to fucking fool us. You did it working for the government. We know what you did.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it. I love those aspects of those universes. And like Warhammer's another good one where it's like basically every single decision is the worst decision you can make in the worst situation. So it's like, I love getting like the lore and the backstory for those. Like when they just like obliterate their own planet so that the aliens can't have it. And it's like, okay, great, 6 trillion humans just died, but at least the aliens can't have it.
That's a win. Just kidding.
Oh, it's a dub for me, for sure.
Huge dub.
That's a win, my guy.
You know, this reminds me of the Space Marine operations all over again with the blowing up the city.
Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, anything for the Emperor.
Yeah, it reminds me over and over of the scene in SpongeBob where they're like, we did it, Patrick, we saved the city. And it's all on fire.
It's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, dude, I fucking love that.
That is the constant Warhammer lore for sure.
Well, me and Hunter were talking a lot when we were on our huge Warhammer grind, which we should get back to. I think they've released a bunch of new stuff. When we were playing our like Warhammer all the time together, he was giving me a lot of the lore that I wasn't caught up on by the time we were playing. And basically a lot of the conclusion that we were talking about as we were listening to the story together is like, Ultramarines are basically just normal humans that are stronger and live longer. And they have such fucking disdain for every other human. It's like they got rid of race, they got rid of like that planetary divide, they're all in the in the Imperium, but then there's still a few fucking humans that gotta think they're better than everybody else. It's always so funny how that comes back around.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Space Marine fan in general in regards to like the lore, but I do think that a lot of it's very funny in regards to just like, no, these are the good guys. They're doing the good genocide, not the bad genocide.
The Imperium is very American, I'm realizing.
Something like that.
But I digress. There was actually one thing that you brought up to me like right after we recorded last week, and I wanted to touch on it before we head out of here. You were showing me something about GTA 6's price. What was that all about?
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember now. I had seen something about the price of the new GTA game could be in the $80 to $100 range. But I've been doing a little bit of research, and it looks like it is mostly speculation because this game was so expensive to produce that a lot of people, I guess, are speculating that it will be more expensive than the $70 that I think most people expect it to be. Now that's kind of like the baseline price for these big games. I am guessing that it will probably be $70 to $80, and then they'll just have like their release bundle that's like $100 and $200 or whatever.
Right, yeah, that would actually make a little bit of sense.
So I'm hoping it's not just straight up going to be like $100 or $90 or $100 release or whatever, because that'd be crazy for sure. But I do feel like we're kind of heading in that direction generally anyway.
It's gonna be the most sold game in the history of the world, like the fucking first one. I mean, GTA 5 was. So it's like they don't really need to make that super high price point, because once you start getting to certain points with that, you will start like locking people out of being able to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too because like even the last GTA still has such a huge online player base. So like charging a bunch of money for the game is going to be harder to incentivize those people to leave that online multiplayer for a new one. You know.
Yeah, or even just play a 40-hour, 50-hour story when they could just keep investing in the thing that they clearly enjoy, love playing every single day over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't have that attention span after so many years of not really good storytelling until recently. A lot of people don't have the attention span to put into a 40, 50, 60-hour game. And a lot of people who play GTA love to 100% it. So the bigger it is, the harder it is for people to 100% it.
Yeah, that is true. I have a feeling that this one is going to be even more online based. You know, I think there will still be. I think there still will be a single player story. You know, they'll keep up with that. But I think that this is. I think the online feature is going to be their number one thing because that's what keeps people coming back and playing the game. You know, realistically.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But like, we haven't had a new GTA. They didn't even make any DLC for the last game, so we haven't had any GTA story in so long. Oh, actually, it's funny you bring that up. So, where I wanted to go with that was, people talk about how expensive this game was to make. Hopefully it's super expensive so that they can charge more. But they have been consistently making millions of dollars a year online. So it's like they've been basically getting subsidized by the people who love playing online. So they probably haven't even really lost any money making it in the first place. And Red Dead 2, which came out after, was another huge blockbuster that made bonkers money. So it's like they're not just like starving for money.
No, but you know, they always want more of it anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. I forgot where we live.
This article I pulled up says that the new GTA is reportedly the most expensive game ever made.
I could see that being potentially true based on what I seen what they had to do for Red Dead.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is that Red Dead was so cutting edge with the way that they made everything. Is like they already had that data going in. They already had the engine. They already had the data going in. They don't need to retrace their steps on a lot of that stuff, though, is my big thing.
Well, you know, I think that the amount of hype this game has had for so long now, like I feel like they probably are at the point where they just like had to keep adding things constantly. You know, like I feel like this is going to be multiple different video games in one video game trench coat kind of thing, because like I think the story and the online are going to be almost different games, and then I think that the multiplayer already in the last one, like there's so many different aspects of it, and I feel like this is going to blow that one out of the water.
Probably right.
Just like the different types of missions and servers.
Will be big.
Yeah. I think the new map is supposed to be like massive too, I believe.
Thank God, because my only gripe with 5, because I genuinely think it is like the perfect game. Like one of the only games outside of like a Bethesda or a Tony Hawk game that I think is like up there as like a perfect game. But God, it's like the map was just so fucking small for that time. Like the dialogue was crazy, the side missions were amazing, like they hit every single thing. But they made 40% of the map underwater. And it's like, there's only like one mission pertaining to the underwater part. So it really never made any sense why they put so much underwater. Hopefully they stay away from a lot of that and they really focus on making the map outside of that realm.
Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be about twice as big as GTA 5.
Amazing.
But it'll be interesting.
Vice City, San Andreas is my favorite out of all of them. It's just like great map, great story. Everything was so cool. Getting fat, getting skinny, getting buff. I loved it all. But Vice City is like definitely one of my favorite maps. Like that 80s theme, the music, like all of that captured was so cool. So going back to it, I'm super excited for that. Like I don't feel like they could really. I know for sure I'm going to be happy with whatever they give me. I just hope that it's just an affordable price, I guess. I mean, I'm probably going to pay whatever, but I'd really rather not.
Yeah, see, my big thing about the price of this game is I feel like this game could very well be worth $100, but I don't think that I think the number of people who are just going to copy paste that $100 is how much they're charging for their games are not going to be even close to the caliber of this game. You know, like, if this game was $100 and it's thousands and thousands of hours of entertainment and content and new updates and everything, it's one thing. And, like, how much time they've spent making this game. But then if you, like, other games, like, where they're, like, just reskins of the Far Cry open world formula over and over again, it's like, nobody wants to pay $100 for that. And I'm afraid...
People don't even really want to pay $70 for that anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, I don't. Yeah, so... I'm honestly more... I'm more worried about the precedent of a $100 video game than the actual price of this GTA game, if that makes sense.
No, I get that completely. I get that's where you were kind of leading with it, but, you know, I mean, no matter what, they're probably going to get me, but I know for sure. I already don't buy games right now because of $70, so it's like if they just keep going up, I promise you, I'll just stop getting new games.
Yeah, I feel you. I've played so many games on, like, Steam that were, like, $20 or $30 and have been as much or more fun than all these $70 games, too, so it's like, it's even harder to justify. There's so many good indie games now.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is I feel like the free game market, I mean, I know it's barely free, because most of the content is locked behind Battle Pass and stuff like that, but, like, the free market's been very good. And a lot of the games I've enjoyed the most recently have been like $40, $50 games.
Yeah.
And that's already on the high end of, like, not indies per se, but like, remakes of games I missed, or, double A title games, they still spent years developing, but it's just cheaper. Like, I've just been enjoying that. And honestly, let's just be honest, dude, the last few years of games have been hot garbage. Like, it's just has been miss after miss.
Yeah, there's been a lot of misses and a lot of games that just literally do not work on release. And,
Yep.
I feel like if this Grand Theft Auto game works on release and delivers on even like 70 or 80% of people's hopes, I think it will be amazing.
Yeah, I think no matter what, it's going to be the most sold game ever. Because it's not going to be going to any battle. I mean, no Game Passes or PlayStation Pass or anything like that. They're not going to. And I think they already said that it's probably not even going to be a PC thing anytime soon after the release, because it's going to be a PC breaker. Like, it's just not going to be possible for that. I'm pretty sure it's what they've kind of been hinting at. I think we'll know more this summer, but if it just came out on Xbox and PlayStation, it'll probably still be the most sold game ever, the most downloaded game ever. Like, it'll definitely be that. And it won't be broken until they probably make another one. And honestly, I don't know if they will make another one after this, if it took this long to come out with another one.
Yeah. It looks like it might be a full year afterwards released on PC, potentially.
Which is fine. I think a lot of PC people specifically they're more likely to be okay waiting for something as long as it works. Because they get screwed over the most.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that, but I could definitely imagine it being a game where if they released it on PC, it would be super refunded, because most people's gaming computers are not going to be able to run the game. Like, I don't think my computer could run it.
No.
So.
No, probably not. From what I've seen, I think Civ is going to be a PC breaker at this point, and that's not even going to compare probably to the computing capacity of going to downtown Miami on a Saturday, at nighttime, like where there's how many NPCs running around, how many people doing this and that. Like, it's going to be insane. Because even like GTA 5, that Series X remaster thing that they made a little while ago, I mean, the draw distances are crazy. You can see all the people moving in individual directions that far off, and even that one gets my Xbox a little hot. So it's like, imagine it on fucking Unreal Engine 5. Like, it's gonna be wild.
Yeah. I'm just excited for it to come out, but I mean, I think we're gonna be waiting a while.
I think since we're talking about money, there's one last thing I wanted to bring up with you. Fucking Netflix is raising their prices one more time. I hate them. I hope that they go out of business, and I really wish people would stop subscribing to that dog shit platform. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. You got anything else to add to that?
Yeah,
I fucking hate Netflix so much.
I know this is kind of, people say this a decent amount, but it really does feel like we're at the point where the streaming services, it's pretty much just like buying cable. You know, especially when you have like the Disney one that's like also Hulu and Max or whatever, and it's just like, so you're just telling me I'm buying like a cable package basically that's got on demand. And it's like, and now that almost all of them, their base product has ads in it, it's like, I'm basically watching TV, you know?
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, and that's why I don't buy, like, streaming platforms. All the ones we have are the one for Jess. Like, Disney's the only one I have because I really wanted to catch up on the Star Wars stuff. Like, that's... Oh, I have Crunchyroll too, but it's $7, and then I have unlimited amounts of everything I want to watch. So it's like, you know, that's something that I can just cancel and keep as I see fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But everything else, I mean, I get Hulu free with Spotify, so, and it's got commercials, so it's like, I mean, that's basically they're making their money on me anytime I watch anything, and that has almost everything that I'm interested in.
Yeah,
Commercials do suck, though. I mean, they're getting out of control. It used to be like fucking 30 seconds. Now it's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, and it's just, everything is so full of commercials, and it's just like so ridiculous to be paying like $15-something a month and then also having to watch a commercial like 3 times an episode. It's just like, oh, I hate it so much. I cannot stand advertisements.
I'm so happy that it seems like piracy's on the rise again. Like, I genuinely want them to take as much away from these people so that they learn their lesson.
Yeah.
They won't, but you know what I mean.
Well, as long as people keep paying for it, they won't learn their lesson.
No, and a lot of people won't. Like, every time I bring up the price hike at Netflix, I tell Jess, and I was like, you should really get rid of it. And she's like, I will. And then we have the conversation a year later when they price hike it again. Like, it's just crazy. People refuse to get rid of that stuff, and it's like...
That's part of why we
could just have one. Like, we can have one thing. Because Netflix is by far the worst. Like, we could literally just have one of any of the other ones, and we would have enough to watch.
Yeah, I tend to mostly, like, when I was buying my own, I would mostly just, like, get whatever one had a show I was excited to watch, and then watch that show, and then cancel it. So I'd just, like, have, like, one per month, and then it didn't feel bad. But they definitely... It's expensive to have 3 or 4 of them now. It's like a cable package. It's just...
Yeah, it's like $60.
Yeah. Or more if you get, like, no ads or whatever, and it's like, especially if you get the ones that aren't packaged together or whatever, like if you like Disney and Netflix or whatever, and like Paramount or whatever, like...
Well, my big thing is me and Jess have a shit ton of stuff on DVD and Blu-ray. So it's like, if she got rid of everything, I would be fine. Like, if we had... Well, one, we have Hulu, so it's like we have everything, it's just we gotta watch commercials. But, like, if we had, say, just Disney and Crunchyroll, I literally would not run out of stuff to watch. Like, I just genuinely would not. And then that's what, $20 altogether? That's not bad at all.
No, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, I know, it's craziness. But I think that's all I had to talk about today, brother.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat here.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
All right. Peace out, everyone.